Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's video I will be talking about the movie River Wild, which is streaming on Netflix. I will let you know by the end of this video if it's worth the watch. River Wild, directed by Ben Ketai, he directed the 2014 movie Beneath. River Wild is not a remake of the original 1994 film that is starring Meryl Streep and Kevin Bacon, mainly because the characters and their relationship in this movie are a lot less defined and different from the River Wild. However, if it can be called a reimagine of the 1994 cult classic. Shot in the heart of the forest, it traces the course of a river along which glides a party of five: Gary, Joey, Trevor, Carissa, and Van, on a raft. Nature is at its untamed best, and so is one of the five members of this group. The rafting trip will test the bond between a brother and sister and two friends. This review will contain spoilers. So it's revealed to us in the course of this movie that Trevor has sexually violated Joey when she was only 15 years old and out on an adventure trip with Gary and his friends. She admits this interest in the act of sexual intimacy and being hurt by Gary's nonchalance, even indulgent of Trevor in this act. Besides, Trevor has served a considerable time in prison, which does not reflect his personality in a good light. Joey is probably unsure about Trevor's actions around women, and her trauma makes her uncomfortable around him. You can definitely tell in the beginning of how shocked she was when her brother stated that he was coming along on the trip. You can sense it from a mile away as the audience, because the look on her face and her distance to not try to talk to Trevor. In this movie, you can see the brotherly and sisterly relationship, and you can also see the distance in the small talk conversation with them. It seems that Gary has been a changed person, but Joey, I feel she still has doubts about her brother, especially when she tried to explain to him how Trevor may have hurt the girl on the trip. And Gary completely ignores it and says Trevor won't do anything like that. Fast forward when Joey and Gary had that deep conversation about how Gary always chooses Trevor over his sister. That speaks volumes. The pain that Joey endures all these years had hurt her. Until this day, I believe that Gary may have turned a blind eye a couple of times because he was also an alcoholic. So I think that their dynamic relationship between Joey and Gary was very off-putting, because you can tell Joey was trying to, I guess, joke around with Gary every now and then, but at the same time, she kept her distance. She wasn't being open to the rest of the members. You know, she was just very quiet until someone asked her a question about her relationship and her job or whatnot, and she answered just straight answers, you know, to give that little small talk. But at the end, she kind of walked away because she wanted to go to bed. But I think in my mind, as just a theory, that she just kind of felt uncomfortable, and not uncomfortable of the girls or her brother, but uncomfortable of Trevor. And it's very sad how the brother, I'm just going to be honest, just worth-ish. He just basically didn't care, you know, and it was very sad because she even called him, you know, a bitch or whatever, and saying that, like, you always choose him, you know, and I'm your blood sister. So I just thought that that dynamic was very off-putting. But the relationship from Joey and Gary, it kind of shows the in-depth in their characters and their personality traits with each other. Towards the end of the third act of the movie, Trevor reveals that he has been convicted of dealing with a large amount of drugs. However, it was actually Gary's business, and although Trevor may have been associated with it, he wasn't fully accountable for it. Trevor has volunteered to turn himself in, saving Gary from the police. Hence, he automatically expected Gary to have his back now that he was committing rampant crimes. Further, Gary admits that he believed Joey was romantically attracted to Trevor in her younger days and did not think Trevor was forcing himself on her. The latter may reflect the casual indifference among young adults about consistent doing a sexual act, and it doesn't make Gary any less guilty about his sister's experience. I think what Gary did was totally wrong. I think what Trevor did was wrong. Both of them are to blame throughout this movie. I think they was both wrong because Gary allowed that to happen, and Trevor, he was just wrong, just completely wrong of what he did to Joey. I think as a person, Gary should have took up for his sister, and Gary should have believed the sister. That's one thing I kind of really didn't like, when Joey told Gary what Trevor did to that girl, and he just, like I said, turned a blind eye, and just, I don't know, I just didn't get that. I felt like, with Gary, he just think that, well, since he went to prison for me, which in the movie he stated that I didn't ask you to take up for me, I didn't ask you to go to prison for me, basically Trevor volunteered or whatever, I wouldn't owe Trevor nothing. That's my opinion. I wouldn't owe him anything, and especially once I found out what you did to my damn sister. Oh yeah, we'll have been fighting. But towards the end of the movie, they got, he got what he deserved, especially Trevor or whatnot. And you can see that Gary was triggered when Trevor was on top of Joey and Trevor was saying stuff to her, and it really triggered Gary to, like, I'm going to get him. So these characters have real history that they carry with them into the woods, and all comes back to bite them. I will be honest, certain scenes in the third act will have you yelling at the screen as you watch the characters struggle to take back control of the situation. That is the only issue I have. I would give this movie a watch. If you enjoy action thriller movies, I think that The River Wild will be a good fit. So thank you so much for watching my channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, and until then, see you later.